Live on our Facebook, live on our YouTube channel. It's such an honor and a privilege to be connecting this morning to Mr. Nico Kleynhans. Nico, thank you for your time, sir.
Good morning to you and to the listeners.
I remember a song going way back. Amy Grant sang this song, and it was about the different hats that a mother has to wear. So when I saw the title of this morning's conversation, I thought, wow, that song was on point because mothers have got so many different roles to play. And when it comes to small business owners and those people who come forward to you and say, hey, I've got this brilliant idea, we have to investigate and let them know about those hats, right?
And it's a challenge. You see, if we come from a family where mom and dad ran their own business, you kind of, as a kid, learn what is going to be expected of you. But if that is not your situation, and you have this vision of what you're wanting to achieve, then jumping into your first business can be a nightmare experience because it is easy to feel overwhelmed and it's easy to make mistakes. And so the guys who work in this field have designed the system of wearing different hats. And it's just to help you understand what is going to be expected of you as an entrepreneur, because your role is going to be different as if you were working in a big company and you only were a manager or you only had one job to do. Now you've got a range of activities that you've got to touch on. And sometimes people come to me and they have this, what they call a business plan. Now, there's a difference between a business plan and a dream. A dream is what you hope to achieve one day.
Yeah.
And a business plan is a lot more technical than that. And they kind of get confused. So what are some of the roles that you have to play if you're wanting to run your own business? Probably the most challenging role is that you have to become a leader and you've got to also become a manager. So now you're responsible for motivating people. You have to have a big picture in mind at all times, and you cannot get sidetracked by the issues that are going to be thrown at you.
Sure.
Because if you get sidetracked, you're going to have to, it's going to take your attention away.
Yeah. So just to be clear, you said leader and manager. And I want to highlight that because there's a big difference between a leader and a manager.
Absolutely. There are two very distinct roles, and they call for different gifts and a different approach and a different understanding. So yes, and I mentioned that first because that is probably the biggest unexpected surprise that you're going to face if you are wanting to get a business plan going and you are wanting to run your own company. That's going to be where the surprise is. The second area is a little more obvious, but if you're going into business, you're going to be involved in selling. So you've also got to now wear a hat of a sales manager. And people get that wrong. A couple of years ago, there was a company called OK Bazaars. I'm aware that there's a sort of corner cafe, OK Bazaars right now. It was the parent of that body. And they employed many thousands of workers. And there came a time where OK Bazaars was insolvent and it had to be sold. And it was sold for R1. They had thousands of workers.
And they had lots of debt.
Lots of debt. And more goods were disappearing out of the doors through theft than was actually being sold. And the problem was that a sales manager's job is to get the processes of sales sorted out. So it's making sure the stock is there, making sure the stock is turned over, making sure all kinds of things happen. And they didn't do it. They took their eyes off the ball, and this whole company ended up being sold for R1. Checkers took it over, and it took them nearly 3 years to do the integration.
Sure.
That was how bad. So just saying I'm going to organize sales, that's one way of doing it. It's not necessarily going to be the way that's going to help you sort it out. Then you're going to have to take the role of financial director. Now, that's what kills most businesses, is because you're undercapitalized. And if we look at how many people have started their business this year, the chances are that 80% of those will no longer exist by next year. And it's not that it was a bad business idea, but they just didn't have the capital that they needed. And you cannot get your capital from the bank. It's very difficult. They're going to make you jump through hoops. They're going to expect a history of business. And if it's a new business, how are you going to satisfy? So what a lot of small businesses do, they use their credit card to fund. Why would you want to have debt that's going to cost you more than 20% per annum to fund? It's going to kill your profit. It really is. Cash flow is critical. And then people don't always realize, if you sell a product or you sell a service, your business plan is going to be completely different. The approach is going to be completely different, because most of your textbooks are going to deal with how you sell products, how you get the bread baked, how you make sure it's on the shelf. And even then they get it wrong. Now, if you go shopping for milk on a Monday morning, you'll know those shelves are empty, because you can't always control the stock that's going to come in and the stock that's going to come out. I wrote a booklet on servicing and how that's got to work. And this book was released through university, through the academic channels. And I was intrigued by some of the questions I got from Afghanistan, of all places, where the university had picked up this as a textbook. And all these MBA students were now having problems. And suddenly, was somebody actually dealing with what the issues are that you're going to deal with if you're selling a service. It's not just a matter of paying a media company $50,000 that they're going to throw something out there in social media. So, folks, I'm not saying that running a business is impossible, but I'm saying you have to get beyond the dream stage. And when you get beyond the dream stage, get help. Don't try and do this all on your own. I know, particularly guys, we think we can do everything on our own. And it's going to impact your life. It's going to impact your family life. You're going to have to learn things that you didn't know before.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful life. I've been in this, running a business, for more than 30 years. And I certainly would love to keep doing it for much, much longer. But it has its challenges.
It definitely does. Nico, always great hearing from you. Thank you.